Well, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Yes, it is Tuesday. Welcome, and I hope you're having a great morning so far. Um, I have, I've so far had a good morning. It's 53 degrees outside. Is this a warmer winter to you? It seems like this is a warmer winter to me. And it seems like last year, about this time, it was maybe 5 degrees or 10 degrees or something like that. I don't know. 53 degrees is pretty nice, except that it brings out the flies and the bugs a little bit earlier. And we had visitors over Christmas, and I think that somehow something got left in the garage that because it was cold, it was not a problem. But now that it's warming up, it turned into a huge problem because flies and bugs. So took care of that yesterday. But it doesn't it seem that way to you? That it's a little bit warmer this winter. I wonder if it'll get cold again, or if we'll just have a warmer winter. I know that in previous years, I have to cover my plants and do all the things. And it doesn't seem like I've had to cover my plants at all this year. And it doesn't mean that the year's over and I might have to do it sometime in the future, but we'll see. Maybe my citrus trees will get a year of of just a warmth. How do I want to say this? It's probably good that citrus trees aren't stressed out. And if you have a really, really good warm winter just once, I think it's healthy for the trees. It might be bad for everything else. Like I've got apples, and apples have to have 45 days over 45 degrees 45 days under 45 degrees in order for them to really create good apples. So maybe this year I won't have any apples, but I have lots of good oranges. Who knows? Who knows what that is? But anyway, yeah, tasty. In Phoenix, it's a lot warmer. That's for sure. All right, let's see. We have no birthdays today, and let's go ahead and before we do that, we are going to next week. On Wednesday, on Thursday, we'll start a new 40-day Lenten Bible study called the Red Letter Challenge. And there's 5 parts to it, and we're going to have really fun with that. And so I'm really looking forward to that. All right. Let's get into our study. We are in Deuteronomy chapter 5, and Moses has just restated the 10 commandments. We ended with the 9th and 10th commandment about coveting. And now we'll get kind of a summary of that, and we'll see what God says from there. So let's go into chapter 5, verse 22, kind of where we left off. These are the commandments the Lord proclaimed in a loud voice to your whole assembly there on the mountain from out of the fire, the cloud and the deep darkness, and he added nothing more. And then he wrote them on 2 stone tablets and gave them to me. So these are the 10 that God gave, and nothing more. Now, there is flesh around those bones, but those are the bones. The bones are the 10 commandments. Love, as Jesus would say, love God, love your neighbor as yourself. All of the commandments can be wrapped up into those 2 things. All right. If you'll remember, Moses went up to Sinai, got the 10 commandments, came down. The people were sacrificing idols, dancing around the bronze idols and things. So he broke the 10 commandments went back up, and God put him on Teflon, and then he came back down again. Those 10 commandments are still in the Ark of the Covenant at this point. You have the Ark of the Covenant, the staff of Aaron, the manna, the things that are staying with them in the Ark of the Covenant as they move from place to place. And that was given by God to the people. All right. And then we get into this, verse 23. When you heard the voice out of the darkness while the mountain was ablaze with fire, all the leaders of your tribes and your elders came to me. And you said, the Lord our God has shown us his glory and his majesty, and we have heard his voice from the fire. Today we have seen that a person can live even if God speaks with them. But now, why should we die? This great fire will consume us, and we will die if we hear the voice of the Lord our God any longer. For what mortal has ever heard the voice of the living God speaking out of fire, as we have, and survived? Go near and listen to all that the Lord our God says, then tell us whatever the Lord our God tells you. We will listen and obey. So even at the time of Moses, people were afraid of God's voice. It must have been something unique and powerful and mighty for the people to be afraid of God's voice speaking out of the fire. Moses was not afraid to go and see God and hear him speak out of the fire. Moses was a very curious person. It could have killed him. He didn't know, right? The whole Israelites, God is powerful. God is power. And to have God actually speak to you and you don't die is a thing that obviously the people think about. And they're grateful that Moses can go and speak to God and that Moses won't die. Moses had an incredible faith to be able to go and listen to God's voice. So the people who cower in fear say, Moses, you go and listen to God and then come tell us. And Moses is like, okay, I can do that. I often wonder what it would be like to be in the presence of God in the burning bush and the fire and the voice, and how it has to be frightening. It has to be absolutely frightening. Remember, whenever angels come, they say to the people, be not afraid, because an angel is a very scary thing. But now multiply an angel times 1,000,000, and you're talking about the presence of God and the voice of God. And it has to be all-consuming, just absolutely all-consuming. Mortals can't do that, but Moses can. All right. Verse 28. I think we'll get to verse 28. The Lord heard you when you spoke to me, and the Lord said to me, I have heard what this people said to you. Everything they said was good. Oh, that their hearts would be inclined to fear me and keep my commandments always, so that it might go well with them and their children forever. Go, tell them to return to their tents, but you stay here with me so that I may give you all the commands, decrees, and laws you are to teach them to follow in the land I am giving to them to possess. So be careful to do what the Lord your God has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Walk in obedience to all that the Lord your God commanded you, so that you may live and prosper and prolong your days in the land that you'll possess. So a couple things here. First is keep the commands. As much as you fear me and my voice and the fire, remember that and use that to fear me and to love me and to keep my commands. And why? So that it may go well with you and your children forever. This is the part that people kind of forget or gloss over. And that is that the commands aren't there just to please God. God gave us the commands so that it may go well with us. That is, all these commands are there so that it may go well with us and our children forever, and be with us in the land that we possess. Walk in obedience so that you may live and prosper and prolong your days in the land that you will possess. These are basic rules. If you're going to live by yourself, then you don't need the 10 Commandments, because if you live by yourself, there's nobody there. But once you become a society and a nation and you live in a land, You need the Ten Commandments. There's no, let's just say that they're tribal. Let's say you are a tribal nation, and the tribes go from place to place, and there's an argument within the tribe. Two people, well, they can go and they can live in different parts of the tribe, or one of the people could leave the tribe. If you're not tied to the land, then you don't need 10 commandments because people can figure it out. But once God gives you a land and there's now a boundary, that is your inheritance from God, which means that if people or nations or tribes don't get along with each other, it's not like they can go find another promised land. This is their land. And as such, that means that they have to have rules by which they live together. And the 10 Commandments are a way that people can live together. And if they simply follow the 10 Commandments, things go well with them and they prosper. And if they don't follow the 10 Commandments, well, then the tribe becomes split, people become angry, the nation declines, and then foreign powers can come and swoop up and overtake them. It was God's initial plan all along that these people would live according to his 10 Commandments. If they had done that, I wonder how things would have turned out differently, but they didn't, because man at his heart is sinful from the fall. We want it all. We want to be like God. And when we're like that, then the 10 Commandments, we think we can live without the 10 Commandments. Let me put it that way. It's like, well, that's not that important. I mean, how important is it to really love God? How important is it really to love your neighbor? I mean, is it really all that important? And the answer is yes, it is. It's vitally important. You can't exist without it. All right. I think we'll go on. So we'll go to chapter 6, and this is a very, very famous chapter. These are the commands, verse 1. These are the commands, decrees, and laws the Lord your God directed me to teach you to observe in the land that you're crossing the Jordan to possess, so that you, your children, and their children after them may fear the Lord your God as long as you live by keeping all his decrees and commands that I give you, and so that you may enjoy long life. Hear, Israel, and be careful to obey, so that it may go well with you, and that you may increase greatly in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, promised you. I mean, that's exactly what he just said earlier. Go take the land, follow my commands, so that it may go well with you. That's it. Boom. Done. Checklist. Bingo card, right? It's done. Cross over the Jordan, possess the land, teach this to your children, live by these decrees, and it'll go well with you. But they can't do it. They simply can't do it. Sin is too powerful. And then we have verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. This is called the Great Shema, Deuteronomy 6:4. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And notice that the Lord is capitalized, capital L-O-R-D, which means that it's the proper name of God, but they would never say the proper name of God. And so they say Eloheinu, Hear, O Israel, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Basically, they would never say the proper name of God, but here it is, the proper name of God. And this is every morning they would wake up and say this. You might say Luther's morning prayer. I thank you, my heavenly Father, through Jesus Christ, your dear Son, that you have kept me this night from all harm and danger. This is what an Israelite would say. Every morning, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Just say that every morning. Hear, O Israel. Hear, O family. Hear, O children. Hear, O spouse. Hear, O grandparents. The Lord our God, the Lord is one. Which we don't really talk about it very much, but in almost every other culture, God isn't one. He's many, many. There's the God of the earth and the God of the trees and the God of the water and the God of passion and all these different gods that there are that you serve. And whatever God you need help with for whatever human frailty that you're dealing with, then you pray to that God. But Israel would say every morning, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. There is just one God, and he's the creator of heaven and earth and all that we see and all that we live in. It's him. So hear, O Israel, God is one. There's just one God to worship. And you will love that God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And these are the centers of the human condition: your heart, your soul, and your body or your strength. There's a guy who developed a person, I guess you'd say, you've heard of the Myers-Briggs test, and you have ENFJ or whatever you are. I think I am an INFP or an EFJ. I don't know what I am. Anyway, but you take this personality test, and then this is how God created you, and you play to your strengths and you work on your weaknesses. Well, there's another guy, and he came up with this thing called the Enneagram, which is that there's 9 personalities. And there's some people that lead with their heart. There's some people that lead with their mind, and there's some people that lead with their body. And this is here in Deuteronomy 5 or 6:5. It's like all of those things. Love your God with your heart, with your mind, your body, your passion, your mind, your body. Don't love God with just your mind, or don't love God with just your body, or don't love God with just your heart or your emotions. Love God with all those things and work on all those things. And if you have a weakness in all those things, work on those. I have been a person that has, I probably because I was just born as a tiny runt of a guy. My brother was much bigger than me. I'm 5'10", he's 6 foot. I'm very, very small boned. He's very, very big boned. So he leads with his body. That's how he leads. He leads with his strength. And I lead with my mind. And you could just leave it there. You could just say, my mind will get me through everything. But you need all 3 of these centers activated and molded and shaped and strengthened throughout your whole entire life. So one of my challenges for me is to work on the body part of it as opposed to the mind and the emotion part of it. All 3. So I do. It doesn't come natural to me, but I have to exercise and do things with my body so that my body is able to serve God. And for those of you who have children or grandchildren that just they're happiest being at home, on the computer playing games or watching TV or whatever, this is not healthy. You have to get out. You have to exercise. You have to be able to have a body that works so that you can serve God. So love with your body, your strength, right, and your mind and your soul, your heart, your soul, and your strength. All 3 of them. So if you've never taken that test, the Enneagram test, it's really fascinating. There's 3 different ways of expressing mind, your intellect, your body, and your emotions. Basically, there's 3 different ways of expressing that, and that's where you get the 9. And I've taken that test, and I am what they call a 5 on the Enneagram. And a 5 means that I like to think things. A 4 is a person. A 4 is a person who has strong emotions. A 6 is a person who is cautious and fearful. I don't say fearful, cautious, I guess you could say. I should pull these up and take a look at them. But I'm firmly in the 5 category, which means that I like to sit in front of the computer and think big thoughts and do that sort of thing. All right. So, if you want to, you could take that, you could get online, and I think there's free tests that are available, and you can find out how God's created you. There was a guy in our congregation, he actually passed away during COVID, but he was an expert in this particular examination profile, and had gone to a bunch of conferences. And what he would do is he would sit down with people, they would take this test, and then there's lots of resources to say, okay, here's where you're strong, here's where you can work on. And the goal is that you can dance around all 3 of those very, very well. Like Jesus was good in all 3 of these areas. And good leaders will strengthen their weaknesses and play off to their strengths. So it's not a bad thing to work on these things and find out what you're strong in and what you're weak in. I've known people. Yeah, all right, we'll leave that there. I could talk on the Enneagram forever. It's a very fascinating test. All right, let's see, verse 6. Yeah. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road and when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the doorframes of your houses and on your gates. And this is, I don't think that God is talking about this literally, that you should tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. And yet there are Jewish people who take this particular statement very, very literally. And they literally do have the 10 Commandments in a scroll, and they tie them in their hair or on their body or on their clothing. They're called phylacteries. I believe that's what they're called, phylacteries. And basically, I believe that God is talking here kind of more with an image than literal. But if you take God literally, and there's, you could do that, then when you wake up in the morning, you tie them to your body and you bind them on your forehead. You do all the things. They have a little box with a string, and they put it on their forehead. And then inside the box is the 10 Commandments. I mean, it's really, so yeah, we are doing another VBS in the Holy Land. And I remember one of them, we actually did make little boxes and put the 10 Commandments in them and tied them around our head. That was really fascinating. It was kind of fascinating. Write them on your doorframes of your houses. So you go into a Jewish house and you'll see the 10 Commandments on the doorframe. And it's on your body. I mean, but all of that stuff is there to remind you to follow the 10 Commandments, to teach them to your children. Dad, why do you have that on your head? Well, let's pull this out and let's read the 10 Commandments. Why is it written on our doorpost? Let's talk about them. It is the way to live. And if people would simply live in the 10 Commandments, there would be so much peace in the world. But people can't live in the 10 Commandments. So there is no peace in the world. All right. And that's Israel's fault, by the way. Because if they'd had just simply followed God, they would have been a shining example of what a community can be when they live by God's commandments. But they couldn't do it. And so God went with Jesus, which probably was the plan all along. I don't know. It says it was. From the beginning of creation, he knew he'd have to come and save us in the flesh. But he did give Israel the opportunity to try it, and they just couldn't do it. All right. I think we'll end it there, and then we'll pick up in verse 10, so 6:10 on Wednesday. And let's close in prayer. Gracious God, thanks for this day. Thanks for your commandments. May we live by them. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so thanks for joining me. Hope you have a great, great day. And may God bless you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.